Welcome back to my channel. This is my regular midweek Stitch With Me video. I also do a live stream on a Saturday evening, and I kind of lost my stitching mojo a little bit this past weekend, so I'm really pleased to say that it's actually come back. So I'm really happy about that, because you know, sometimes it's a bit worrying when you've got quite a few pieces of work that you're working on that you might not want to go back to do any of them. So that's always a little bit of a worry. But thank goodness I was really interested in coming back and working again on some of my whips. So today is Wednesday, and I'm going to start stitching on this Tree of Life by Jen Delyth or Delyth. This is a Heaven and Earth design, and I'm using 25 count 1/1. And it's a really gorgeous, colourful piece. I mean, I can't get over the beautiful colours that are in this particular design. It just wows me every time I bring it out. So I'm back on it today, and there's a couple of exciting things going on at the moment that I'll talk about when I'm getting into my stitching. So let's get started. I've decided I'm going to start and maybe work on this little square down here. So I'm going to pull aside some of these threads so that they're not actually getting in my way. And let's see if we can master. Let's see if we can master this little section here. Okay, so I've got a few parked threads. I don't need that one. That one can go to one side. And so I'm going to start on the thread that's parked at the bottom of that square, because that's just the easiest place for me to go. And there is going to be parking again. I really do enjoy the parking. I don't ever seem to get into too much of a tangle with it. I try to be really neat, and I think that helps a lot. Now I do have to be careful here, because there's an edging on these squares that if you're used to just working in blocks or in straight lines, you can get a little bit confused where these edges are. So I'm going to try and not miscount, which is very easy to do. So 1, 2, 3. I think that's where I'm parking. Sometimes it's easier to deal with these parked threads first than it is to deal with other sections, because once you get those parked threads down and out of the way, well, it's much easier to stitch around it. So this is just one of the little skills that I've picked up along the way. There's only one stitch there. So that's one, right down. That's where I'm parking with that thread. And the next one is this one here. Some of these threads, I like to keep them fairly long so that I can actually hold them back. But if they're too short, they'll just sort of flop over the rest of it. So it is actually easy to keep the threads back a bit. So what sort of week have you guys had? Was it a good start to the week? My week has been fairly slow, to be honest, sort of quiet. We're now into the school summer holidays, so there's not really a lot, a lot happening. We hadn't really planned very much because there's been so much uncertainty with regard to the coming out of the lockdown and whether you can travel, that it just didn't seem right to just go a bit crazy and start booking things. Although, having said that, I did book, I managed to get a booking in a lovely, very spacious hotel. And this is a place called Stirling in Scotland. Very historic, atmospheric, beautiful place. And I'll be going there at the beginning of August and taking a very well-deserved break, I think. So I am really looking forward to that. And I'll also be meeting up with family and stuff like that. So it'll be nice to catch up, you know, with people that we haven't seen for over a year. It's going to be really nice and relaxing as well, I hope. Not too much pressure to stitch, although I will be taking one of my whips with me, and I think I will be taking only one, because I think the whole point of this break is to have a break from everything, including stitching. So although I'll probably, you know, maybe in some evening in the hotel I'll want to dig it out, I don't necessarily want to feel obliged to have to do it every day. Because I think I'm going to be out and about quite often, exploring. You know, that's the whole reason why you take a break from stuff. But I think I do want to get, I do want to take something with me so that I don't feel completely lost, as you do. So that's going to be really nice, and I'm looking forward to that, going with my family and just having a break from the same routine that I've had for so long now. I don't think this thread is going to last me very long because it's quite short. Trying to get these little stitches, but they're so close to the part threads that can be a little bit tricky. Whoops, I think I went down the wrong way. I have to end this thread now because it's just that little bit too small for me to work with. Well, I think I'll just fasten off at the back there. So here we've got a lot of greens and blues, very, very vibrant colours. They just do remind you of like some kind of coral reef. That's what it reminds you of, like you're swimming undersea. And I'm using that method where you use both hands. So one's pushing the needle through the back, and at the front I'm pushing the needle towards the back, and it does actually make things that little bit quicker than just using one hand. So we've had some really, really bad weather here in Edinburgh this past week. It's been non-stop rain, and we've had quite a few floods. You know, nothing too serious, I can imagine, but you know, floods do cause quite a bit of damage. And so it's not been that kind of nice, oh, let's go outside and have fun kind of weather. So yeah, really rainy, and it just kind of puts you off, you know, venturing outside when it's that bad. I don't mind a little bit of rain, but when it gets to that complete heavy pelting rain, then I think I'd give it a miss. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. I don't think everything's going to happen all at once when this lockdown gets lifted completely, these restrictions. I think people are still going to be a little bit used to wearing their masks and stuff. And, you know, the ones that really hate those masks are just going to shove them aside. And the people who, you know, prefer to be a bit more cautious will still be wearing it for a while to come yet, I think. And I think that's fine, you know, nothing should stop you from wearing a mask if you want to wear one. It's your own personal decision. So it's interesting to see, you know, just how busy things are going to get. They could either get a lot busier or they could just slowly transition. But I think, you know, when they start opening up things like theatres and football matches and stuff and concerts, that's when we're really going to see a lot of, you know, rises in infections and stuff. And I think it's just inevitable now. But then I do understand a lot of people saying, you know, life has to go on. We can't stay undercover forever, which again is understandable. It's doing a lot of damage to the economy. It's doing a lot of damage to people's mental health. There just doesn't seem to be a right answer that fits all, does there? So, you know, look after yourself. That's the main thing. Your situation is unique to you. So look after yourself first. So I'm trying to be aware of this snaking around here of this design, this particular pattern. Oh, I think I've done all those, I've fixed all these, I've done all these part threads up here now. So I can move on to something else, to a different thread. Let's try 732. Let's try this one. Now I also wanted to mention before I forget that I had mentioned on my channel that you could tag me on Instagram and send me, tag me to one of your works in progress, and that I would mention it on this next video that I do. And so I got one or two of those, so thank you, but I'm only going to pick one to be fair. And so the one I picked that I was tagged to is this work in progress here, and you'll see it now on the screen, and it's called Aquarius by Pat Brennan. That's the name of the artist, and it looks like a heaven and earth design, and this is being worked on by Janet, and she is Janet Creates 917 on Instagram if you want to connect with her or follow her works. And she's working this particular pattern on a 28 count Lugana using 1/1 full cross. So thank you for tagging me to this, Janet. It looks absolutely amazing, and I really am tempted to put this one on my wish list now. You've probably got a little further ahead than this now, so how do you feel about this particular design? Let us know. It looks absolutely gorgeous, so thank you. So coming back to my stitching now, I'm doing 25 count. However, interestingly, I've been actually thinking a lot about different types of counts, and every so often I get a little urge to maybe try one out, or, you know, give something a go to see if it works for me. So I'm interested in trying maybe 22 count to see how that works. And I've looked at a lot of messages and things that people have said and how they work it, and it just varies so much. Some people like to use 2/1 on 22 count. Some people like to use 1/1. As for me, I don't actually know, because obviously I haven't tried it yet. So I've ordered some fabric in 22 count, and I'm going to have a go and do a couple of squares on it and see. Now I think it's going to be way too bulky for me to do 2 strands, and the reason I say that is because I tried to do 2 strands once on an 18 count, and I was getting into bulk even on that. So I can imagine at 22 count would be the same. So I'm thinking my way to go on this is probably going to be 1/1, 1 strand. But I'm looking forward to receiving that so I can have a look at it and, you know, have a little practice session. And if I start a new design, which I haven't been intending to, but when I get round to doing my next Heaven and Earth design, I'm actually going to see if I can do it on this 22 count. Now you're probably thinking, oh, why are you going to change if you're used to doing the tent? Well, you know, sometimes you do, you just want a little change. And I think that even though I love this count, and this is my go-to, 25 count, 10 stitch is my go-to, why not mix it up a little bit? And also because I feel that there will probably be less bulk at the back when you're using one strand. Now, I could be wrong when you get into heavy confetti areas, but I'd like to just test that out and see how that works for me. So that's going to be interesting. And then whenever I get round to it, I will reveal to you which chart that I already have in mind that I'm going to start. But I do want to get a little further ahead with this one, and well, with most of them actually. I just want to get that little bit, you know, of a push, because I haven't been feeling too great lately, and I feel like I could have probably done a bit more. However, you know, you can't account for what's going to happen from day to day. You might get good days, you might get bad days. And I can't say I've had bad days, but I do get days when I feel a bit under the weather. And, you know, I get sinus issues and stuff. And if anybody has sinus issues, they'll know what a pain they are. And they just come and go. And you just got to try and, you know, chuck a lot of meds at them and wait for it to go away. But when I get a little bit allergy, sinus stuff, I tend to just kind of withdraw. And sometimes the stitching helps, but when I get too sore, then I just want to lie down, maybe read a book, so I kind of got levels of comfort. So when I find that I'm in too much discomfort, even the stitching, you know, it's just too much to bear. So I'll go and read a book or something, or even just lie down, turn the lights off and listen to music, or listen to an audiobook. So that's one exciting new development. Well, it's exciting for me anyway. The other thing is that I have started another piece, but this piece that I've started is going to be a bit of a surprise till my next video. But all I want to say is that it's not heaven and earth, and it's quite large, and I am doing 1/1, but it's because it's a kit, 1/1 full cross, but it's, yeah, because it's a kit and it's not heaven and earth, that is the way it is. So I'm going to be showing that as well shortly. So lots of exciting stuff. And that one isn't sort of in my rotation, that one is a sort of as and when I feel like doing it. So that's going to be exciting to come back and tell you about. And I also want to come back and do a video about my organisation and where I store my works as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I need to catch up with, really. Stuff that I've promised some of you guys that I would come back and talk about or show you. But you know, unfortunately, sometimes things don't always go to plan. And I'm hoping now that with the lockdown stuff coming out and having a few more options, like I'm not going to go completely crazy and run around the street with no mask and start breathing on people, but with the lockdown stuff becoming a little bit easier to bear and I get out a little bit more, it should kind of help my mood, because I find that all this uncertainty definitely puts me in an anxious place. I don't like grey areas. I'm very much a black and white person, and I like to know what's going on, and I like to know where I'm heading, or at least have some kind of idea. But this whole lockdown thing has put us all in a really precarious place of uncertainty. So we can't plan anything. We don't know what's going to happen this year. We don't know what's going to happen next year. We don't even know when we can travel. We don't know when we can take off masks. There is so much uncertainty that it's no wonder levels of anxiety have completely peaked. Oh, I've just done, I haven't done a cross, I've done an eye stitch. Now I think 1, 2, 3. I think I missed a stitch somewhere. Never mind. This is also the thing with 25 count. If you made a stitch mistake, it's actually really hard to see it because the stitches are so small. I think that's one of the things I don't like about smaller counts, is that it's difficult to see the stitches properly at this size. But you know, I don't want to be getting out magnifiers and stuff like that, because I'm not doing keyhole surgery. I want something I can see and just relax with. I have loads of magnifiers and they just kind of get in my way. So now you can see how this lovely design is curling around here. Starting to look really pretty. The blues contrast so well with these greens. Although the coverage on this 25 count is pretty good. I can't complain about it with 2 strands. Oh, missed a stitch. It's quite decent. I honestly don't know how anyone can actually finish one of these designs doing full crosses with 2 strands, because that must get really bulky, especially in these confetti areas. So I'm thinking maybe I could take this one with me when I go on my little trip, because it would fit in well with my theme of being outside, nature. I mean, it is the tree of life after all, and all these colours would look really beautiful outside if I even take my stitching outside with me. And it hasn't actually even got that many colours. This one is, I think it was 69 colours. I don't think it actually says on the front of the sheet, but I know it wasn't 89, and it's certainly not more than 200. So it was around 69 or 79, something like that. So even less flosses to carry around. But I'm surely going to pack those well, I think, because the last thing I want to do is lose a floss, lose a skein while I'm away, because that will really be frustrating. I mean, I can just see me hunting around some hotel garden and asking people if they've seen a skein, a bobbin with floss on it, and they'll just stare at me like, what is this woman talking about? She's absolutely crackers. She's going around looking for a bobbin. So yeah, I do want to be a bit careful with my stuff. So I'm going to take a nice bag and pack it all really well. I'm going to peek onto this side for this one. Up, left, left. So this one's mainly just been a sort of navy and a lovely kind of green. Not a very bright green. And there's a few more stitches on this little edge. So So that's 1, 2, I have to be careful counting this edge because it does confuse you. But I think it's really different and it just kind of adds something. The fact that it's not completely straight. It's very pretty and effective. And there is just one more stitch to go in here, which again is another green. I'm not even sure that would make a huge difference, but it is a sort of different type of, more like a beige green. Where am I going? It's 1, 2, 3, up. So we've got no rain today and it's just a little bit cloudy and it looks like the sun has been struggling to get through those clouds, to be honest. So I'm hoping it makes it for the weekend, because that would really brighten things up even more. Let's have a look. Now I'm just going to do this more stitch here. And I think it's just 1 square less. That's 100 stitches less. Well, probably a bit less than 100 because I've cut away a little bit there. A few stitches less to do next time I pick it up. So remember, it really is just 1 stitch at a time. Take your time, enjoy it. Don't think about tomorrow. Just enjoy what you're doing 1 stitch at a time. And you'll get there eventually. So now I think the idea for me is to work across. So I'm going to pull away everything I'm not going to use, so it's all out of my way, and I will continue on down. That's my little stitching session finished for the moment, so I need to go and take a little break. How pretty is that coming down here? You can see how these little curls are going to form all the way down, and then there's going to be another one of these things somewhere in the middle. I don't even know what that's called, but it's going to be another one a bit further down. But I'm really excited to get to the tree of life. That big beautiful green, that big beautiful black bit there in the middle, which isn't too far off because I've done that little fish head, so I only have to pop down to here somewhere. So I'm going to work across and I'm going to work down. I'm getting excited about this one again, actually, so I want to carry on, and I think this is the one that I'm going to take with me when I go to Stirling in Scotland, and I think I'm going to hopefully get some of this done in the hotel in the evenings. So that's going to be fantastic. So I think that's everything for this stitching session. So don't forget, I'll be back doing a live stream this coming Saturday at 7 p.m. British summer time, which I think is roughly about 2 p.m. for some of those in the US. And I'll be streaming live, and I'm going to leave it as a surprise this week. When I come back, I'm going to just pick the one that I feel like doing. So you can I'll put a notification anyway on my channel just before. So it would be great if you could join me then, and we can have a lovely chat about stitching and catching up on all our projects, and you can stitch along with me. So until then, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week and take care of yourself. Bye for now.